9 people were killed, 7 women and 2 men, and at least 42 were injured when a Russian suicide drone struck a bus load of workers in the city of Marhanets in the Dnipropetrovsk region. This was posted on Telegram by the regional governor Serhiy Lysak on April 23rd. Almost all of the injured have been hospitalized. The attack occurred in the early hours of Wednesday morning when the targeted bus was transporting employees to their workplace, wrote Lysak. Overnight, Russian forces attacked Ukrainian regions with a total of 134 attack UAVs. The Ukrainian Air Force reported that 67 Russian UAVs were repelled by aviation, anti-aircraft missile units, electronic warfare assets, and mobile fire units. A further 47 decoys failed to reach their targets. A massive Russian UAV strike in Poltava targeting the city's civilian infrastructure has left at least 3 people injured. This was reported by the acting city mayor Katerina Yamshchikova on Wednesday morning. Damage was recorded on 66 facilities, including 25 apartment buildings, 30 private houses, offices, and warehouses. 1 building was completely destroyed. Russian drones also attacked the southern city of Odessa, injuring 2 civilians and damaging civilian infrastructure. According to the State Emergency Service, residential buildings and private businesses caught fire. In the Brovary district, Kiev region, a fire broke out at a hotel and a restaurant complex as the result of debris from a Russian UAV wreckage. 2 separate buildings were ablaze, which were later extinguished by firefighters, reported the State Emergency Service in a Telegram post on Wednesday morning. Fortunately, no casualties were reported. At least 6 Russian drone strikes were recorded in Kharkiv in the early hours of Wednesday. Civilian objects were targeted, resulting in large-scale fires and destruction of buildings, reported the rescuers. The detonation of munitions is still ongoing at the 51st Ammunition Depot of the Russian Ministry of Defense's main rocket and artillery directorate. A powerful explosion occurred in the Kirzhach district of Russia's Vladimir region on Tuesday.
Смотрите, какой взрыв! Ё-моё!
According to OSINT analytics, the depot can house over 100,000 tons of munitions, including artillery shells, rockets for MLRS, components for air defense systems, and tactical missiles such as the Tochka-U. Russian military bloggers, however, report that the figure is closer to 270,000 tons. After the detonations began, a state of emergency was introduced in the Kirzhach district, with evacuations taking place in several settlements located near the ammunition depot. According to the Russian Ministry of Defense, the explosions at the site occurred because of a violation of safety protocols. As of now, the local governor reported 4 people were injured due to the incident.
Еще один взрыв. Вот такие вот снаряды прилетают.
Ukraine is ready to start negotiations with Russia in any format once a ceasefire is established. This was stated by President Zelenskyy at a press conference on Tuesday evening. He was asked about the latest statements coming from the Kremlin on Moscow's readiness to consider Kyiv's proposal for both sides to halt attacks on civilian infrastructure.
Moscow
is not prepared for us to be ready. And they are sure that we are not ready to take quick, correct, strong steps. And during this war, it seems to me that their intelligence has already understood our actions, our psychological portrait. First, if we make a decision, we act on it. Second, we are not afraid of them. When they throw some kind of reproach at us about the talks, I believe that they are pushing America out of the negotiations to show their own leadership. This is what's happening. Our response to this is that, as I believe, America is the real leader. We want them to participate. We want them to put pressure on Russia. We are ready to take responsibility for our words. If the Russians are not just ready for a ceasefire tomorrow, but they actually stop firing, then we are ready to sit down and talk to move on to other steps to end the war. If something is actually done, and it's not just empty words.
At the press conference, Zelenskyy also reiterated Ukraine's position on the temporarily occupied territory of Crimea, rejecting reports that Kyiv might accept territorial concessions as part of a potential peace agreement with Russia.
Ukraine does not legally recognize the occupation of Crimea. There's nothing to talk about. This is beyond our constitution. It's our territory, the territory of the people of Ukraine.
Talks on a peace plan to end Russia's war in Ukraine are underway in London, reported Sky News. Officials gathered from 5 countries: the UK, US, Ukraine, France and Germany. Earlier, Ukraine's Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha wrote on X that a day of meetings in the British capital alongside Minister of Defense Rustem Umerov had started with their UK counterparts, Foreign Secretary David Lammy and Defense Minister John Healey. The Ukrainian delegation included the head of the Office of the President, Andriy Yermak, who posted on Telegram that they will meet both American and European officials. The discussions will be focused on ways to achieve a full and unconditional ceasefire as a first step towards a just and sustainable peace. These behind-the-scenes discussions will replace the postponed ministerial peace talks that were planned today with US and European counterparts. This was confirmed without any explanation by the UK Foreign Office, reported The Guardian. Meanwhile, Sky News says that the withdrawal follows a decision by US Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, who reportedly cancelled their participation after Ukraine rejected a purported US proposal. According to the Wall Street Journal, during a meeting in Paris on April 17th, US officials presented Ukraine with a classified document outlining proposals for achieving a durable peace in Ukraine. It includes blocking Ukraine from joining NATO and recognition of Russia's illegal annexation of Crimea. However, the day before, during a press conference, President Zelenskyy stated that Ukraine will never recognize the occupation of Crimea, adding that the proposal circulating in the media was never received by Kyiv at an official level. The United States has proposed a peace deal to Russia and Ukraine, which would involve freezing the war close to the current front lines. This was reported by the US Vice President J.D. Vance. Speaking with journalists in India, he said that Washington is prepared to pull out of its mediation efforts between Moscow and Kyiv if the current diplomatic initiative does not receive a constructive response.
We've issued a very explicit proposal to both the Russians and the Ukrainians, and it's time for them to either say yes or for the United States to walk away from this process. Now time, I think, to take, if not the final step, one of the final steps, which is at a broad level, the parties saying, we're going to stop the killing, we're going to freeze the territorial lines at some level close to where they are today, and we're going to actually put in place the kind of long-term diplomatic settlement that hopefully will lead to long-term peace. Current lines, somewhere close to them, is where you're ultimately, I think, going to draw the new lines in the conflict. Now, of course, that means the Ukrainians and the Russians are both going to have to give up some of the territory they currently own. There's going to have to be some territorial swaps. So I would say the exact
$500 Ukrainian drone took down Russia's most expensive reconnaissance UAV, the Merlin VR, and also eliminated a Supercam UAV in the Liman direction. This was reported by the 63rd Separate Mechanized Brigade. Ukraine's Operational Command Hortitsa added that the Merlin VR is an experimental Russian surveillance drone valued at over $300,000. It can fly at altitudes up to 5 kilometers, stay airborne for 10 hours, and cover distances up to 600 kilometers, far surpassing the capabilities of other Russian drones like the Supercam and Zala. Unidentified drones reportedly attacked the Russian city of Yelabuga in Tatarstan, the location of a Shahed drone manufacturing plant. Videos of flying drones as well as air defense work were shared on Russian Telegram channels. The city is located over 1,200 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. According to the Astra channel, restrictions were imposed at airports in the several cities because of the drone attack. Ukraine insists on an immediate, complete and unconditional ceasefire, stated President Zelenskyy. Writing on Telegram about Russia's morning attack on a bus full of workers in the Dnipropetrovsk region, he stressed that a ceasefire was already proposed by the US back on March 11. However, it is only possible if Russia agrees to it and stops the killing. Zelenskyy mentioned a decrease in the intensity of hostilities as well as an absence of air raid alerts over Easter, adding that Ukraine proposed to extend this state of silence for at least 30 days and make the ceasefire absolute. He stressed that Kyiv is also ready for an immediate ceasefire, at least on civilian objects.